There's no doubt that Brazil has produced the biggest talents this game has ever seen. From Pele to Zico, Romário, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Neymar, the list goes on. Some incredible players. But Brazil has also had some major flops in Europe and for the Seleção Brasileira. Players such as Kleberson when he played for Manchester United, Keirson that once went to Barcelona, Renier that recently went to Real Madrid, and even a few years ago we had Lucas Piazon play for Chelsea. Now Real Madrid signed Endrick on July of 2024 for around 50 to 60 million euros. What do I mean by that? That's a lot of money. That's all I'm saying. 1 year later, and many are questioning Endrick's talent, even saying that he should leave Real Madrid, even though he's going to stay. So could Endrick be the next big flop out of Brazil, or are football fans just doing what they do best, which is to overreact? So why don't we talk about it? Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Chapéu Football, where you will find the best, the greatest coverage of Brazilian football in English on YouTube, or soccer. Very often, I call it soccer. It's the S word. People don't like it, but I will use it. I'll let it slip from time to time. Now, over the past 12 months, we've seen a lot of bad press when it comes to Endrick, and that's why we're making this video. Which led to many fans start overreacting, calling him a flop, saying he must go out on a loan, leave Real Madrid after just one season. And it also led to a lot of fake rumors, like a Newcastle transfer, a loan to Real Sociedad, a loan to this, a loan to that. Nothing happened, and at the time of this recording, it looks like Endrick will stay with Real Madrid. Today I want to go through why many are being so dramatic about a 19-year-old and why they need to take a chill pill and calm down. And by chill pill, I don't mean drugs. Don't do drugs, kids, or adults, or elderly people. Just don't do drugs. Now, this has been a very hot debate lately. Endrick, right? The last time I seen a debate this bad was when people were debating whether or not Frodo and Sam were gay. So this is a very big debate, and this is going to be an interesting video, which we're going to tackle in different ways. First, I'm going to talk about why we're even having this conversation. And then, towards the end of this video, I will give you my actual opinion on Endrick. Now, before we start, I have two questions for you. One is, do you think Endrick will be a flop? And two, do you think Endrick will be in the 2026 World Cup with Brazil, which is less than 1 year away? Now, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like in this video if you haven't already. It helps the channel a lot, and it's free. Free is good. All right, let's begin. Why are so many people questioning Endrick's talent, a 19-year-old? Well, from the get-go, when Endrick was essentially a youth player, there were comparisons to Pele. Some were labeling him as the new Pele, which all of that was just very silly. Those were unrealistic expectations set on a kid, on a teenager. Now, don't get me wrong, Endrick has huge, tremendous potential. He is, in fact, a generational talent. But the moment you label him as the new Pele, it means you're pretty much placing him in the same category of potential as a Lionel Messi. And I'm sorry, out of every single player in this generation, there is not a single player, there's not one that I am ready to put in the same category of potential as Lionel Messi. Maybe Lamine Yamal, maybe. I still don't think Lamine Yamal will ever reach the levels of productivity that Messi, Pele, or even Cristiano Ronaldo ever had. Lamine Yamal in his prime will probably be like Neymar, which is a generational talent, an incredible player. But this video is not about Lamine Yamal. My overall point here is comparing Endrick to Pele at any moment was silly. But I do agree that Endrick is a very talented young player. I think another thing that must be said is that both club coaches that Endrick had did mention that he needed to keep his head in the right place, stay focused, be mature. Abel Ferreira talked about that a few times when Endrick was a Palmeiras player, and Carlo Ancelotti even went as far as criticizing Endrick publicly, essentially telling him to stop clowning around. So my point here is both coaches seem to have issues with Endrick being immature. Considering the fact that he is 19, I would say that's not super concerning at the moment. He will mature, I would hope, at some point, but that's another reason why a lot of football fans are concerned and questioning Endrick at the moment. And listen, I actually met Endrick in person in 2024. when I went to Brazil and I visited the Palmeiras training facilities and I met Endrick, Abel Ferreira, Richard Rios. But anyhow, when I met Endrick, it was quite clear that, yeah, he is a kid and he behaves like one. So there's definitely maturity issues. When I met him, he was 17, turning 18. Now he's 19. If he was 25, I would actually be very concerned that he hasn't matured. But since he's 19, let's give him time. Think about it for a second. I don't know how old you are watching this video, but how immature were all of us when we were 19? But most importantly, the main reason why everyone's questioning Endrick right now is because of his first season with Real Madrid, which was not very good. And people are overreacting, but yeah, it wasn't a great season. He only played 350 minutes in La Liga, finishing the season with 1 goal and 1 assist in the league. In the Champions League, he barely played. He played 135 minutes and scored 1 goal. Now in the Copa del Rey, Real Madrid actually gave him minutes and he ended up scoring 5 goals in 6 games. With Endrick, it was pretty much a struggle for minutes because he did average 1 goal every 120 minutes throughout the season, which is honestly not bad for an 18-year-old in his first season in La Liga, but the minutes were terrible. They were abysmal. The thing is, when Real Madrid signed Endrick, they didn't have Mbappe. So Endrick was essentially going to compete for minutes with Joselu probably up top, which means his minutes probably would have been 2 or 3 times more than he played this season. Mbappe also plays a lot of minutes. And it doesn't really matter what Endrick does on the field. I'm not going to say he outperformed Mbappe because he clearly didn't. And Endrick is not better than Mbappe right now. And maybe he never will be. We don't know. But Endrick could go on to score a hat-trick and Real Madrid would still not bench Kylian Mbappe, their superstar. The same thing with Vinicius Jr. Simply because of how much they pay him, his salary, and because it's Kylian Mbappe. He's still one of the best players in the world. So Endrick could drop 4 goals in a game. The next game, Mbappe would still be the starter. So he landed in a very tough and unfavorable situation when he landed in Real Madrid, right? When he went to play for Los Merengues. I'm not here to give excuses. I'm just giving you the context. Don't shoot the messenger. So he struggled to get minutes with Carlo Ancelotti, but he's gone. Xabi Alonso has now taken over. But the problem, and this is another reason why people are questioning Endrick, is that Gonzalo Garcia, a forward from the Real Madrid academy, came out of nowhere when Endrick and Mbappe were injured in the Club World Cup, and Gonzalo Garcia actually played very well. Now, how will this translate to the season? Has Endrick moved down in the depth chart of Real Madrid? Is he below Gonzalo Garcia right now? We don't know. But in the Club World Cup, Gonzalo Garcia, a player from the Real Madrid academy, looked quite good. And I understand why they would want to favor a player like that. I don't think Real Madrid has had a good forward come out of their academy and play for them since probably Raul, right? It's probably the last one. So I can see where they would try to favor him. But right now, the season has not started. We don't know what Xabi Alonso will do. And there is zero evidence that Endrick is below Gonzalo Garcia in the depth chart. Now, I understand. We're football fans. We're soccer fans. We overreact. And people are saying that now Endrick is the third option behind Mbappe and Gonzalo Garcia. But there's no evidence of that. That's my point. Now, Endrick has also fallen off with the Brazilian national team. In early 2024, he started to get it going. He scored against England at Wembley to give Brazil the win. He scored against Spain in Spain, right in front of Lamine Yamal, which led to an iconic, a beautiful picture. And then he also scored against Mexico right before the Copa America. 3 consecutive games that he scored. Everyone thought that he was going to break through at age 18 in the 2024 Copa America. Unfortunately, he played like crap, just like the Brazilian national team. They all sucked. And since the Copa America, he has gotten very few minutes with the Seleção Brasileira. He got a few minutes here and there. And honestly, the way things are going with Real Madrid, I doubt that Carlo Ancelotti will call him up anytime soon. So now that I gave you all that info of why we're having this conversation, let me ask you this. Is there any evidence to believe that Endrick could become a flop? And the answer to that is no. This whole conversation is an overreaction from most football fans across the world. Endrick is 19. There's still a lot of time, and we must be patient. But let me tell you why I think this is an overreaction and why I think there's absolutely no evidence or no reason to be worried about Endrick's development at the time of this recording, which is July or actually August of 2025. And just to make one thing clear, this is not to say Endrick cannot become a flop. He could become a flop. My point is that there's no evidence of that. Okay, so for starters, development ain't linear. Some players develop very early, others take their sweet time. Not everyone's gonna be like Lamine Yamal, that at age 16 or 17, he's like balling out, a world-class player. It takes time. Look at Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best midfielders that we've seen over the past 20 years. He only took off around 2014 when he was like 23. He technically flopped at Chelsea, then played very well for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga, and eventually became the player that we know when he played for Manchester City. But he was like 23, 24. Mo Salah was another one that technically flopped at Chelsea, then went to Roma in Italy, played very well, came back to the Premier League, and balled out, became a world-class winger, one of the best wingers in the history of the Premier League, while playing for Liverpool. Salah didn't really break out and become the player that he is today till he was like 24, 25. And I can give you many other examples, but why don't we talk about a player that was in a similar situation to Endrick? He came from the same country, he came for a similar fee, and he arrived at Real Madrid at a similar age. Yes, I'm talking about Vinicius Jr. And Vini was honestly quite bad in his first 3 seasons with Real Madrid. 2018, 2019 being the first one. Here's the thing. Vinicius was getting minutes, and he was struggling. He got 1,700 minutes in his first season, while Endrick got 850. Half of what Vini got. And Vinicius scored 4 goals and got 9 assists, most of them coming from the Copa del Rey. Endrick got half of those minutes, and he scored 7 goals and got 1 assist, also mostly in the Copa del Rey. So despite playing less minutes, Endrick still managed to be as productive, if not more, than Vinicius when it comes to goal scoring ability, at least. And what if I told you that Vini's second season was as bad, if not worse, than his first one? He scored 5 goals and got 3 assists in 1,800 minutes. Vini's second season was the one that Benzema talked to Mendy, and he told Mendy to stop passing the ball to Vinicius because he was playing against Real Madrid. That's just to give you a perspective of how bad Vini was in his first 2 seasons for Real Madrid. Now listen, Vinicius' third season was also not very good. I mean, he did get 2,700 minutes, which is a lot, but he was extremely ineffective in the final third. And he finished after playing 2,700 minutes with only 6 goals and 5 assists. It wasn't until his 4th season, the 2021-2022 season, where Vini would truly take off with almost 40 goal contributions, a Champions League trophy, and brilliant performances for Real Madrid. My only concern here when comparing Vini to Endrick is that Vinicius got the minutes he needed to develop. Endrick is actually a better player than Vini at age 18, 19, but Real Madrid needs to ramp up those minutes and help the kid develop, like they did to Vinicius. So again, I think Endrick right now is a better player than Vinicius was at that same age. The only difference right there is Real Madrid gave Vini a lot of minutes, which helped him develop and become the player that he is today. So I will start getting concerned if Real Madrid gives Endrick less than 1,500 minutes this season. If Endrick gets 1,500 minutes this season or more, I'm not going to be concerned. It's fine. I don't think he's going to break out this year. I think Endrick will still struggle this year. I just want those minutes to go up. And for anyone thinking that he's a flop, let's say you're a Estevão fan from Palmeiras. I can assure you that Estevão is going to struggle with Chelsea. Don't think Estevão's going to get to Chelsea and start balling out, dropping goals left and right. He will struggle in the Premier League, probably for at least 2 to 3 seasons. Trust me, I watch a lot of Chelsea, and I watched a lot of Estevão. Now about Endrick's struggles with the national team, which could be an evidence of him possibly becoming a flop, well, he was doing fine when he was playing for Palmeiras and playing well for Palmeiras. Now, the struggles came when he started to perform poorly for his club. So his poor club form has been dragged into the national team. There's nothing to be concerned there in the long run. So what are my overall thoughts here? Because I'm just yapping for too long. I watched Endrick single-handedly carry Palmeiras to win the Brazilian League at age 17. The performances he put out at age 17, I didn't even see Neymar do something like that at age 17. And I was living in Brazil at the time, so I followed Neymar very closely. What Endrick did there, the mentality and performances on the field were incredible. I saw him also come off the bench in the Libertadores in the semifinals and almost lead Palmeiras to a comeback against the almighty Boca Juniors. Of course, the game was in São Paulo. My point is, the mentality is there. The talent is also there. I have seen it. And the Brazilian league showed in the Club World Cup that it's a very competitive league, and Endrick was quite dominant there. He was the best player for Palmeiras, if not the best player in the league, one of the best players in the league. I am not concerned for the long term. I expect Endrick to struggle for another season or two. I want us to be patient. Give Endrick at least 3 seasons before judging him. Let's give him the same time that Vinicius had to develop. Plus, there's no evidence that Gonzalo Garcia is ahead of Endrick right now. Xabi Alonso is a new coach. We've seen him play with the front 2. We've seen him play with the front 3. And I just want to say one thing before you go. Endrick's best position is not as a lone center forward. He is better as a second striker. If you play him as a second striker, that's how you get the best out of him. Now, the second best position for Endrick would be as a right winger. If you keep playing him as a lone center forward, he will mostly struggle. That's not his best position. Now, to one of the questions that I've asked you earlier in the video, do I think Endrick will be in the 2026 World Cup or not? The answer to that is no. I don't think he'll be there. Carlo Ancelotti doesn't hate Endrick, but clearly doesn't rate him very highly and had issues with him and his attitude in Real Madrid. And I also don't think Endrick will be incredible for Real Madrid this season. I think he's going to need at least 2 more to become the player that we think he can be. So, will he be in the 2026 World Cup? I doubt it. Alright everyone, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. And that's all for today. Subscribe, and I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.